Good evening. This is Dr. K, and I'm happy to introduce you to exercise number 1 for the PRM 613 class. This is about applying the 5S methodology to a workplace. I wish I were there tonight, but I'm still finishing a trip that I started in mid-September. I'll be there next week, and I wanted to take something that I've learned on this trip and bring it into the classroom. So here we go. 5S is a methodology, and the purpose of doing 5S in a workplace is to create and maintain an organized, clean, safe, and high-performing workplace. But what does that really mean? Let's apply the 5S methodology to the trip scenario and see what we can do. So the organization that we're going to be doing this for is Adventure Cycling Organization. It's a nonprofit, and its mission statement is to inspire and empower people to travel by bike. And it's just a U.S. organization by choice, limited to the U.S. And it has detailed maps for cyclists, sponsors about 100 cycle trips per year, and approximately 40 trips are supported by ACA vans. So a van-supported trip is one that uses one of the 10 ACA vans, and these vans are generally in service all year round, going from a trip in Florida to perhaps a trip that goes across the country from east to west, and then it might a few days later start, that same van might be going from Seattle down to San Diego, and then it might go from San Diego back to Florida with a different group of people. All kinds of different trips with the same vans. These vans include bike racks on the top for 15 bicycles. They seat 15 people. If you only have people in the van, you can pull a trailer behind it, and there are 2 leaders and 13 participants on each van-supported trip. For example, the Pacific Coast trip that I'm on right now goes from Canada to Mexico. It's 41 days in length, including 4 rest days where we actually don't bicycle. We, the participants, who are the customers, ride approximately 1,900 miles. We average 60 miles per day. And I have to tell you, the Pacific Coast is just hills, hills, and more hills, but it's incredibly beautiful. The van is actually used to move the trailer, baggage, and equipment to a new campsite each day because the participants are riding every mile from Canada to Mexico. So the role of the 2 leaders, Paul and Sarah, is to plan the entire trip before it starts, including where we'll be stopping every night. And during the trip, one leader is riding and the other leader is driving the van. And the one who's driving the van is shopping for groceries. It's up to the leaders to maintain the van and equipment and ensure that the total costs for all of the gas, lodging, and food do not exceed the budget. A typical day on this trip, let's start at noon. At noon, the leader who's actually driving the van will arrive at the lodging for that evening. They'll remove some luggage and coolers, set up some tables, set up a snack, and they'll post information for the participants, such as, are there showers, where are they located, what's the cost for the showers, is there a laundry? Because some state parks or camping sites have better accommodations than others. Between 1 and 5 p.m., the participants are completing their ride for that day and arriving and having a little bit of time. By 3 p.m., I'm coming in, 3 to 5 p.m., because I'm one of the slower participants. And it typically takes me a minimum of 6 to 7 hours to do a 60-mile ride. So anyway, we snack, we shower, we set up our tents, we do our laundry, we have some leisure time. And if that's the day that we're one of the two people who are assigned to be cooks, then we're cooking from 3 to 5. We've developed a menu and given a grocery shopping list to the leader ahead of time. Then we prepare the ingredients, cook the dinner, and set up a table for dinner. A typical day on the trip then is that we all have a group dinner together in the campsite. We have a map meeting where we talk about where we'll be riding tomorrow. Sometimes we're riding on freeways. If there are no other choices, sometimes we're riding in very challenging areas. After the group meeting, the trailer is repacked with everything that we don't want the raccoons or the bears to get at night. And by 8 o'clock, it's dark out and most of us are settled for sleeping. In the morning, the cooks who were assigned for the night before set up a breakfast table and a bag lunch table. The leaders are constantly looking at these tables to try to identify what they need to do for grocery shopping for breakfast and lunch. And they'll work with the next evening's participants to figure out what they need to buy for dinner. Participants eat their breakfast, pack their lunches, and by 8:30, all of us are on the road riding the day's ride. The leader goes to shop for groceries, drives to the next lodging site, updates the budget, pays the bill, registers at the lodging site, and we start another day. So what are the workspaces that we're talking about? Well, one, first of all, is the van. And the van has a first aid kit. It has the budget and planning materials, seating for 15 of us. There's a bin for laptops and tablets, and a roof rack with 15 that can hold 15. The van might be used to respond to mechanical bike problems or injuries during the day, but typically it's just going directly to the site. The second workspace I'd like to talk about is the trailer. That's an enclosed 8 by 15 foot trailer, and it has to hold from one campground to the next all of the participants' luggage, which is about 30 bags. We're allowed a maximum of 25 pounds per bag. Then there are 4 coolers with ice and groceries, our lawn chairs, our folding tables, our camp stove, our propane tanks, our pots and pans, cooking utensils. And then you can see over on the right side, there are some shelves, and those are the bins for non-refrigerated groceries. This is what a campsite might look like. You can see the chairs set up over by the trailer, and you can see people's tents. And this is a workspace because this is where we do a lot of our work for the day. And so here's a list of some of the problems. The van is not a big problem, but some of those bike racks seem to be damaged. And if there were a forest fire, they would have to get all 15 bikes on top of that van and get us all out of that area to evacuate that area. Participants can store their laptops in the van, but only the 2 leaders have keys, so it's kind of a hassle to get your laptop when you want it and put it back when you want it. The big problem that I'd like you to focus on is the trailer. It's a mess. I just have to tell you that. It is. And the leaders think that we're just not trying very hard to put things away in the right places, but we don't really get the system. And there's a lot of congestion. It's a very packed, tight trailer. So here's what some of the shelves in the trailers look like, and it looks like somebody tried putting some codes like shelf C number 3 is utensils. But then again, there's nothing on that bin that says that it belongs, that those are utensils. So people just have a heck of a time getting them put in the right place. Chairs are an issue because they are used all the time. They have to go in the van overnight so they don't get broken by wind or rain. And we do tend to lose one or break one about every 10 days. Cooking issues, we have a lot of trouble keeping track of things. I just was trying to figure out whether these were boiled eggs or raw eggs, because the stove is constantly an issue because it isn't very clean. When we're telling the leaders what they should buy for the meal we're making, we really don't know what kind of spices or what kind of, is there oil, is there spice, what's available. So lots of questions around cooking. Here's a list of some of the cooking issues for you to look at. Cleanup is another issue because each one of us has a mesh bag that contains our own plate, cup, spoon, fork, and mug. And the cook set out 3 tubs, one for washing with soap, one for rinsing, and one for disinfecting with a little bit of bleach in the water. But they get pretty gross pretty quickly. And the problem is that we really need a sanitary space here, because if somebody gets sick and passes those germs along to everyone else, that's kind of a problem when we're all supposed to be writing every day. Cleanup from meals is the assigned cooks do that, and the stove is rarely cleaned off because it's still hot. And then you have to put it back in the camper, but it's still hot. And we're supposed to clean the tablecloths with disinfectant, but a lot of people don't know that or don't know where the disinfectant is. And utensils and food are so often put away incorrectly. Here's on the upper left-hand corner, you can see the mesh bags that we put our personal dinner items in. We have cutting mats that are supposed to be, the green one's supposed to be only for vegetables, but I'm not sure everybody really remembers that. And that tray full of pans is basically all we have in terms of pan to make fairly complex meals for 15 people. Another issue that we have is charging station. Many campsites only have one power source, usually in the bathroom, and often up to a 5-minute walk away from where our tents are. And so if we plug our charging station in there, it could get stolen. And we also take our coffee pot and plug it in the bathroom or wherever there's an outlet every morning. There are 3 or more devices per person and very few outlets. So we have, you can see in the picture, these extra power strips and USB strips, but the cords get lost and people, you wouldn't believe what it looks like to have 30 or 40 devices trying to all plug into the same thing. So, and the other thing is that we store these power strips right underneath the garbage, which is just another potential for lost or damaged items. Here's an example of the trailer that's loaded for transit. So you can see all of the bags in the front, and then the tables and the ice chests. We have a lot of issue with food expiring before it gets eaten or going bad, because it's difficult to know if all the food was put out on the tables or not. The coolers are really too heavy for one person to lift, but yet there are items behind the coolers that everybody needs to get at. So that's it. It's a situation with a lot of room for improvement. I hope you'll be able to give us some great insights on how to apply 5S to this workplace. Thanks so much.